Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with the Soul. I'm Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert in Northern Illinois, as you can see from our weather out here. It's been snowing. It was snowing the other day. Good morning, Gretchen. Nice to see you. And so we are into winter. I can no longer pretend that it's fall. I can no longer pretend that spring is right around the corner. Good morning, Darcel. Instead, it's officially winter. And so the topic this week we're talking about is how to gracefully survive winter. Because as we all know, if you're probably watching this, winter, no matter where you live, good morning, Peter, is a really tough time because we're stressed more than normal. Good morning, Wanda. But one of the things I want you to think about is that times of stress are great opportunities to clean up the things that have been controlling you for a really long time. Good morning, Robin. So a lot of times people think of stressful situations like the holidays or winter or when it's dark and we're not getting enough vitamin D or B12 or whatever it may be. We're looking at winter and we think of it as a dark time that we struggle with depression. Now, in many cultures, in many indigenous cultures, North Native American, South Native American, Asian medicine, Celtic, winter is a time for dreaming. Good morning, Nina. Winter is a time for going inside and reflecting on things. Now, the problem with our American society, which I live in, is that we've gotten ourselves so depleted and so stressed out and so at the end of our rope that we don't have the tools. We're not in the right space to navigate. Good morning, Kathy. We're not in the right space to really navigate this time of year and use it to our best advantage. Now, we've spent the last couple days talking about what winter is, which is a time to really create the next chapter. It's a time to dream. It's a time to delve into those deep, wonderful parts of yourself. And when you do, the benefits of it are pretty great because many people look at their lives and as they get older, and they look at their lives as starting to spiral down. They're getting older, their body's falling apart, everything hurts, they're depressed, they've lost more people than they know how, they don't have the resources, they don't have the optimism. You know, all of those things are happening when people are getting older. That's the mindset. But another way to look at it is when you clean these things up, when you take winter as the time to evolve, let's say, and really shape the dreams of what you want your life to have, then it starts to spiral up. Good morning, Tricia. Nice to see you. And good morning, Shamila. Your life starts to spiral up. And so the older you get, it's because you become more experienced. You become wiser. You've navigated all of those parts and pieces and dark places, and you have an understanding, and they don't frighten you anymore because you know how to handle them. You know, there's some research, and you'll notice I talk about research a lot. Good morning, Cynthia. There's some research out there, and good morning, Margie, that talks about how people who have imagined grief, who've expected grief, who've let themselves fall into grief before grief has happened, it makes them more resilient and better able to handle the grief that actually comes. People who spend their lives distracting themselves and trying to be better people and trying to be happy and doing their positive affirmations, they're unprepared for when life kind of throws them a curveball. And that will knock them completely on their butt. They won't have any resources. They won't know how to navigate it. And they don't know how to figure it out. And this is what winter is for a lot of people. Winter is a time when life knocks you over. And because of our culture and how we were raised, we don't know that, we don't know how to navigate this as well. Now, if you're, a little bit older, let's say in your late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you should have a number of your tools in your toolbox already in the back of your head. Vitamin D, B12, water, fiber, exercise, sunshine. And we talked the other day about why we self-sabotage ourselves, why we have all of these tools. We know what we're supposed to do, but we don't do them. And one of the reasons that we don't do them, we talked about the other day, was we don't do them because we don't remember how good they will make us feel. And because one of them, just one of them, will not make us feel amazing. So we'll do one, we'll give it a shot, it won't work, and then we'll say, see, it didn't work. Well, let me try this one. And then we do the next one, and we do it, and it doesn't work, or it doesn't work as well as we'd like, or we fall back into the same trap, and we say, see, it didn't work. The thing with healthy choices is that they're cumulative. So you can't only do the vitamin D. You have to do the vitamin D, and you have to do the B12, and you have to do the great music, and you have to do the flowers on your table, and you have to do the time for self-reflection. You have to do all of those things. And so yesterday I challenged people to take one thing, and instead of having a judgment against it, instead of looking at all the reasons why they can't do it and all the issues, looking at it as a problem to solve. Because when you take one good step, of course, you'll take the next good step. Now, these all sound like platitudes. I totally get it. It sounds like all the things we've all been hearing for forever about how to be healthy and how to make a good life for ourselves. They are platitudes. So what you're probably looking for are some ways to reframe and to look at life and how to really move in the next positive direction. And that is what we're talking about today. It's about reframing all of the things and experiences that you go through in winter. All the times that you drop the ball, you fall off the wagon, you snap at your friends, Christmas dinner turns out terrible, all of those things, looking at them in a different framework. We also talked about the other day about how it's very small steps. We don't go from negative to positive in the blink of an eye. We don't go, it's not like flipping a switch. Going from negative to positive, going, from where we're at to where we want to be, there's a lot of shades in between and a lot of little micro steps and small steps in between. And these are some of the steps we're going to talk about right now. First of all, many times people go through life, and when things don't go well, we look at ourselves as failures. And then we spend a lot of time avoiding those feelings of being a failure. We distract ourselves, we shop, we eat, we, take drugs, we take B12, we take vitamin D, we take all those things in order to feel better, so that we don't feel like a failure. Now, the gift of winter is not that you feel amazing. The gift of winter is that you find that interesting balance where you have enough comfort that you can handle a little bit of discomfort. You feel healthy enough that you can handle being challenged a little bit and looking at things a little bit deeper. When you're totally in a hole, when you're totally depleted and disassociated because you're exhausted, you don't have the resources to look at anything at all. We want to get a good foundation in place so that you can really use this time to your advantage. So many times people look at the first step as, I'm a failure, I need to avoid being a failure. Now, if you're watching this, you've probably made it to the next step or one of the next steps, which is, this is a lesson. What do I need to learn? Now, a lot of people in metaphysical fields and healing professions and, who are seekers or on a path, they look at that one, at the I'm learning a lesson, what's the lesson? And that's where they get stuck. They get stuck in intellectualizing and trying to figure out what they're supposed to learn because they're sick and tired of this experience. They're tired of having it. They're tired of dating the same person. They're tired of having the same fight, of going around the same pattern. And they escape how they feel by trying to figure out intellectually what's the lesson, what's the lesson, what's the lesson. Now that's a rabbit hole. You could do that for the next 10,000 years if you wanted to. The brain is amazing. It has the ability to come up with stories and pictures and reasons and justifications and explanations for anything at all. And I've talked about this in the past. There was a little research project where because people had epilepsy, and the seizures were so bad they needed to divide the brain in half. So they would cover one eye, show an umbrella to one side of the brain, and say, you have this umbrella because we're doing this experiment. And then they would cover the other eye, and they'd show them the umbrella again and say, why do you have this umbrella? And the person would come up with these elaborate stories as to why they had the umbrella. Never one of them being because they were doing this experiment. Always because, it was raining outside, or they're preparing for it to rain, or it was windy, or they brought it in for a friend, or, whatever their mind could come up with, and create this amazingly beautiful and creative story as to why they had this umbrella. So hiding in our mind of trying to figure out what's the lesson, it will not move you forward. It will just keep you continuing to look at what the lesson is, and it'll make you crazy, absolutely crazy. I suggest that you go to the next phase, or one of the next steps in line, which is realizing that the experience that you're having is a beautiful, perfect experience, and to take the judgment and to take the shame and to take the guilt away from it. Experience those as long as you want to. Good morning, Stacy. Experience, the guilt and the shame and the fear and the anxiety and the fact that you're not good enough as long as you like. I tend to set a timer because, I'll set a timer for 10, 15 minutes of self-pity or shame or guilt or whatever it is. So, because those experiences, it's good to have those experiences. It's good to feel them. And it's good to know what those are like. But we don't have to stay there. So that's why I say set a timer, because you can do it for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then the timer goes off, and then you go distract yourself and you go do something else. So what I propose is that every experience is you regaining a part of your soul, regaining a part of all that is. Now, I have an interesting philosophy of what God is. I was raised Catholic, and which is a beautiful religion, and it's not a religion that stuck real well with me. It was too dogmatic for me. I tend to go more the Buddhist route, and the Buddhist route is what God is, or all that is so big, so complex and amazing, and has so many darks and lights and ups and downs that we'll never be able to totally comprehend what God is. And so every time we allow ourselves to have an experience, no matter what it is, if it's shame, if it's guilt, if it's frustration, if it's fear, if it's anxiety, if it's, falling off of our cliff into our pool again, that takes us one step closer to that enlightenment, to all that is, so that you don't have to stay there. It's about having the experience. It's not about learning some mysterious lesson. It's not about being broken and a failure and you'll never be able to figure it out anyways, and if you just had enough willpower, you'd be okay. It's about recognizing that you're having an experience and the experience is perfect, and you'll let yourself have the experience for a certain amount of time. Good morning, Jai. You'll let yourself have that experience for a certain amount of time, and then you're ready to move on. Here's a neat thing about the brain. So every night, your brain shrinks about 40%, and you've got these two types of little guys in your body. And one little guy builds neural connections, all those great little electrical connections in your brain. And another guy comes in and they prune. They've got another little gardening, group, and they prune off the neural connections that are no longer of any use or any importance to you. So actually they make you forget. They, evaluate which has strong neural connections and which has weak, and if it's weak enough, then they come in and they, clean it up. And then in the morning, your brain expands again to its normal size, and the little guys go away. And then at night, your brain shrinks again so they can come in, the gardening crew can come in, and they can prune off anything that's not necessary. So, for our, let's say, our evolution, for our becoming whole and moving towards enlightenment and being happier and having inner peace and all that neat jazz, Good morning, Julie. For that, we need to allow ourselves to have experiences. This morning, I take 15, 20 minutes every morning to let myself feel or wander around in my psyche and in my emotions for a little while. It lets me clean things up quickly, lets me notice what's going on, it strengthens my intuition, and it helps me stay at a relatively sane state of mind. So every morning I take 15, 20 minutes and I say, hey, what's really going on? Good morning, Rhoda. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I missing? So lately there's been a flu bug going around my family, and in order for me not to get sick, I've been really upping my, I've been taking a lot of electrolytes. And in my electrolytes, it's in my little electrolyte drink that I normally wouldn't do at all, there's a lot of B vitamins. And so I've been ingesting a lot of B6 and B12 vitamins. And that's given me a different experience of calm than I'm used to. It gave me a new experience, and it let me dive deeper into the topic of shame. It let me dive a little bit deeper into, I'm ashamed that that I failed at this and I failed at that. This didn't work out and that didn't work out. And I said, oh, that's really cool and interesting that that I'm experiencing this part of me, this shame and this failure. And it was the shame, if you listen to Brene Brown, which I absolutely love her stuff, if I stay with the shame, then I stay locked in this experience of I'm a failure, I'm, whatever. And shame is really sort of body-based. It's a felt sense. Good morning, Yasmin. Shame is a felt sense, and so the opposite side of shame is what's the lesson, what's the lesson? So I then went into my mind and I said, okay, is there a lesson? And, that makes your mind go obsessive. It makes it go crazy because now it's sent on a task to figure out what the lesson is. What am I not doing? Why do I feel shamed? Why do I feel like I'm a failure? Why do I feel like I'm broken? Is it my mother's fault? Is it my father's fault? Is it the fault of my boss or, whatever it may be? And looking to blame. And so I let myself have that experience for a few minutes. And I said, well, there is no lesson. And I have nothing to be ashamed about because the next step is I'm becoming more whole. Having this experience, all of these failures, is just another experience in life. And when I came to that conclusion, when I let myself go through the shame, then go through the obsessiveness, and then get to, wow, this was another life experience. I could feel everything open up. I could feel my mind calm down, and I was ready to go to whatever was next on my list. I didn't have to stay in the feeling. I didn't have to stay in the obsessiveness because the reframe that I came up with was that it's okay. Was that where I'm at and who I am is another beautiful, amazing experience to have in life. So I'm taking this 10-week coaching program, which some of you might have seen. So look for a survey because I'm going to be pulling something together on intuition. And so this coaching program, one of the things she talks about is iterating your way to success. And what does that mean? Iterating your way to success means doing something, anything, and it will naturally lead to the next step and the next step and the next step. And so if you just continue to take those steps, you'll get where you want to go. And that's absolutely true. And it's the same in your thoughts, and it's the same in your feelings. When you let yourself have your thought without the judgmentalism, without the guilt, without all of the stuff, have the thought, and then let yourself move on to the next thought. And then at night, let's say you do that enough times with guilt or shame or a bad experience or a failure or brokenness. You do that enough times where you feel it and then let it go and feel it and let it go. Then the little guys come in and they prune that off. And you don't have that reaction and that experience anymore. So when you don't continue to strengthen the neural connections and the body-mind connections between thoughts, feelings, and emotions, either by obsessing about what's the lesson or obsessing about why you feel the way that you feel. When you let yourself do it, as I said, I set a timer. I have designated time where I let myself experience these things, and then you go do something else. And every time that you do that, it weakens the connection between the shame. It weakens the connection from the belief that you're learning a lesson, that you have to work harder, that you have to, look deeper, and you have to figure this out. It weakens that connection. And when you weaken it enough, then your body naturally says, we don't need this belief anymore. And it gets rid of it. And then you don't have to deal with it. So then 50, 60, 70, 80 years from now, hopefully you're still alive and doing well and healthy and in a good space. Those decades from now, you're not still dealing with the pain and the shame and the failure that you had and all of those things that kept you back. So, do enough things. Here's the wrap up, the overview. Do enough things so that you're in a good space. If it's vitamin D, if it's water, if it's exercise, if it's whatever, start iterating your way towards that stuff. Do one thing at a time, problem solve it. Start giving yourself time to reflect and look at those things. And then let yourself feel or think whatever you need to feel or think for a certain amount of time. And then decide and choose you're going to feel and think something else. So sometimes we get stuck in big emotional pieces. We get sideswiped by something, and mentally, emotionally, physically, and we get completely sucked into that reality, and we can't think outside of our box. When you do get to the other side of that, when you do get those moments of clarity, and you do, you do, stuff happens. You wake up in the morning and you get 10 seconds of clarity, or you eat something and you get enough calmness that you can get some, good morning, Stanley, that you can get some insight and understanding. Or maybe you take a Xanax, or maybe you eat ice cream, or maybe you go walk for a half an hour. But you always get those brief moments of clarity and understanding. Always. So when you get that, break in the emotion or the obsessiveness or neuroticism that you feel, use it to reframe. Use it to realize, oh, isn't that really interesting? I'm having this experience and I'm thinking these thoughts and I'm feeling this thing. And be really grateful, or as grateful as you can, that you're doing what you're doing, that you finally have the opportunity to heal this part of you, for the energy to come up. Because anything we don't acknowledge, anything that stays pushed down and ignored, continues to make decisions for us. A good example is, for me, anger and conflict. So because I was afraid of anger and conflict, because to me it meant the end of the world was coming, even though I got older and I became an adult and I learned how to navigate it, what I really learned how to do is how to avoid it, or how to fight back through it, or how to numb myself to it or cope with it. That made decisions for me. That started to make subconscious choices that shaped my life where I didn't want to go. So my life got smaller and smaller and smaller. I started to avoid things I would normally want to do, or that I used to like to do, because I was afraid of conflict. When you're going through winter, or what we would consider, a dark night of the soul or self-exploration, as we've already talked about, when you let yourself go through those things, or when you're triggered, it's a way for all of those feelings to finally come up and move out of you, so that you free up all of that mental and emotional energy to use towards something else. So you can either wait to be blindsided, by life. You can either wait to be triggered. And that's what happens when at the front end of healing. At the front end of healing, we're triggered by everything. We wait for life to make us feel helpless and victimized and have things happen to us. When you start to move into a more mature phase of growth and evolution and healing, you start to make choices like that earlier on. You start triggering on your own terms. You let yourself trigger and feel things while you still have some sanity around you. It gives you the opportunity to experiment and to be curious and to open the door and then shut it really quick if you have to. a lot of the advice that I give women is if you want something to change, start experimenting and playing with it. Start doing it on your own terms. Instead of waiting for somebody to come home and knock you emotionally in the face, you know, or slap you down, why don't you try playing with it? Maybe earlier in the day, give a text or give a call. Try all sorts of different personalities. Try all sorts of different ways of doing things. Try playing and experimenting. Why would we do this? Why would we go up to the bear and look it in the face in its den? Because now it's on our terms. Instead of sitting in our tent waiting for the bear to come get us, we go to the bear because we're prepared. Maybe we would bring snacks. Maybe we, have the right energy or attitude. Maybe we bring, pepper spray, whatever it is, but we're prepared. We're prepared to go face the bear so that we can come out alive because we're prepared. Our other option is to sit there, as I said, in our tent and wait for the bear to come get us and then hope that we'll make it through. And then all the while be scared that the bears are going to come get us, and live in a space that's frightened and insecure and controlling us and small. So winter is this time to gracefully face the bear, to try out all sorts of different things, because we have just enough discomfort, just enough not feeling good, that it brings up things from the bottom we haven't looked at. So in a lot of healing shamans and gurus, especially shamanic work, one of the things that they do is they use stress to encourage healing, to encourage wellness. They have you fast. They have you run for miles. They put you, in super heated or super cold areas. They stress out your body so your deepest fears can come up, so that you can finally clean them up and they stop making choices for you. They stop making your life small. So it's a very purposeful facing of your fears. You don't have to wait. Good morning, Nakia. You don't have to wait for a shaman to come along and set this up for you, because a lot of them are kind of nutty, and sort of dramatic, and may push you a lot farther faster than you really want to go. But if you start doing this shamanic work in your pace, on your time, and your way, then your life keeps getting better. So winter's the perfect opportunity. It's a time to dream. It's a time to explore. It's a time to go into that sadness and anxiety and fear and insecurity and depression and shame and guilt. It's a time to explore those. Make sure you've got all of your tools to pull you out. Make sure you only do it on a set time limit, but explore them, because when winter is over, when spring comes, you'll be at the next chapter of your life. You will be evolved to the next place you want to go to. And your dream will have you'll have a very clear vision and a very clear focus of where you want to go next, and you'll be ready for it. It's so super exciting. So if you can look at winter as a time of magic, absolute magic, even in the midst of all of those really uncomfortable feelings, it will get you to the other side very gracefully. So thanks for joining me today. Tomorrow's Friday, so tomorrow I think will be the last one on Gracefully Surviving Winter. Unless we decide to really expand it, then we'll do another week of it. If you love this, go to inspiremassage.com, sign up for our emails. I try to get these out almost every day, so the replays, so you don't miss them. I'm also on YouTube. You'll be able to find me there. You can subscribe to me. Find some way to keep up with these videos, because if you do, even if you power watch them for a while, in big clumps, if you do, just by watching them, just by hearing different words, it will move you in the direction you want to go. Really, all you have to do is show up. Because every time you hear this and you're open to it, a seed is planted, and it gets you one step closer to where you want to be and who you want to be. So really, the only task you have right now is to show up to these videos in some way, shape, or form. Oh, dear. So it's to show up to these videos in some way, shape, or form, and let them work their own magic. And you'll look back and you'll say, hey, I actually changed. I actually got to where I wanted to go, and that's pretty cool. And once you start doing it, it's kind of addictive. So have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.